begin with a very simple proposition. A society that believes in justice cannot celebrate restitution when it benefits us and then reject it when it challenges us. So my position is very simple. It's not that America is an irredeemably racist nation. That is not my position. My position is not that every racial disparity is evidence of discrimination. My position is not that any living American should be held personally guilty for the sins of the past. My position is much simpler. Government caused harm. The government can measure that harm. Therefore, the government has an obligation to repair that harm. The first premise of my argument is simply this: systemic racism existed because government institutions deliberately enacted policies that directly disadvantaged Black Americans. This is not a matter of opinion. It is a matter of historical record. Federal, state, and local governments enforced slavery, enforced segregation, they enforced exclusion from housing markets, and enforced policies that prevented millions of Black Americans from accumulating wealth that could have been passed to their children. The question is not whether these policies existed. The question is whether we are willing to acknowledge the consequences that they produced, and they are long-lasting. The second premise is that the racial wealth gap did not emerge from thin air. Wealth is not created in a single generation. It is transferred across them. Homes are inherited, businesses are inherited, investments are inherited, land is inherited. If one group was systematically prevented from acquiring and passing down assets for centuries, then it should not surprise us that the descendants of those families possess less wealth than anyone else today. If a father is robbed before he can leave an inheritance to his children, the injury does not disappear when he dies. His children inherit those consequences. The third premise is simple. Justice requires restitution when a wrong has been committed. We recognize this principle everywhere else. If the government wrongfully takes your property, compensation is owed. If the government wrongfully imprisons you, compensation is owed. If the government destroys your land through eminent domain, compensation is owed. Why should government-inflicted racial injury be the one category of harm for which compensation is considered unthinkable? And finally, as a Christian, I would argue that restitution is not merely an American principle, it is a biblical one. Scripture teaches forgiveness, but it also teaches restoration. When Zacchaeus encountered Christ, he did not simply apologize, he made restitution. Justice was not completed by words alone, it required action. You know, the whole faith without works is dead kind of thing. So let me be clear about what I'm defending tonight. I am not here to defend Black people having perpetual victimhood. I am not defending racial resentment. I am not defending the idea that Black Americans are incapable of succeeding without government assistance. I am defending a principle older than the Constitution and older than the Republic itself. When a wrong is committed, the obligation to repair that wrong does not disappear simply because time has passed. And if government policy helped create the injury, then government bears responsibility for helping repair it. That is not socialism. That is not Marxism. That is not communism. That is not charity. That is not collective guilt. That is restitution. And restitution, simply put, is justice.
All right, Andrew, 5 minutes.